Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. I got to tell you, there are some people that I really enjoy having on the show, and there are some people who I'm kindred spirits with. And this particular individual is that. But before we go there, I've got to introduce Rochelle, who is incognito today.
Hello, Kevin, and hello, everybody. I'm very excited as well. I've looked forward to this show, as I sometimes say. But ending the week with somebody like this guest is extra, extra special. We have Neena Perez here with us today. And thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very, very good. I want to give you a chance to tell everybody in your own words what you do and what you're all about.
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. So I'm
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm a transformational life and business coach. I'm a chef, and I actually help women kind of find their purpose and like what it is that they want to create in life. And then I help them streamline that to put that into a coaching business. So a lot of the women that come to me are switching from corporate to coaching and would like to know how to take all of their expertise to impact the world. That's what I help them with.
Beautiful.
And not only that, she's a podcaster of note. And not only that, she's a chef. Do you know what it means to be a chef, Rochelle?
I'd like to think I could say so, but probably not, Kevin.
She knows how to work with food, and she knows how to. It was always impressive because I was a general manager, and I always had a really good chef. And those people, they work hard, and they're diligent about what they do, and they make or break a particular restaurant business. So, if you are a restaurateur and you want a great chef and someone to perhaps do a little bit of consulting with you, I would suggest Neena, because she knows what she's doing. She's been doing it a long time, haven't you?
I know, 20 years. Like, what is that? Right. So sometimes when I look back, I'm like, aren't I just 25? Like, how the heck did I get here? But yes, I love doing it. In fact, right now I'm working with a beautiful grocer, which I'm helping them develop their food program and how they're going to start incorporating having food on top of the grocery store. So it's really a lot of fun. I'm loving what I do.
So they're going to have a real live, honest to goodness deli?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's going to be a lot of like grab and goes and things like that because they have a beautiful upscale grocery store, but no food for people to kind of grab and, go to their office. So I'm going to help them develop all of that and all the programming around that. So all of their cooking classes and kids cooking classes and summer camps and all the things.
How long have they been in business?
Oh, very little, like maybe close to 2 years.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I can just imagine them sitting in their office one day and the owner or the manager is talking with the other managers and going, we really need a new and a stream of income. And well, why don't we do a deli? Oh, really? How do you do a deli? Well, because every major grocery store that I know of has got a deli that people can grab stuff and go. And since I'm a former chicken salesman, are you going to have rotisserie chicken there too?
We might and might not because we're still trying to develop a new concept where we're not going to have a grease trap. So that might be a little bit tricky. So it's probably going to be going to like a commissary kitchen, having all the rotisserie and then bringing it in instead of cooking it on site.
Does it have a hood?
It's going to have a very small hood. It's a very small space. So that's where it's going to get a little bit tricky. So we're trying to figure that out right now.
I've got an idea for you, and I'll share it with the world right now. Do you know what a panini grill is?
Yeah, of course.
I used to take a panini grill, and I'm sounding a little loud. Let me adjust that. Is that better, Michelle?
Yes, a little bit better.
Is that better?
Yes, perfect. As you were saying, panini, what?
A panini grill, and what a panini grill is it's a grill that makes panini sandwiches. But what I did with it was I took tortillas.
Mhm.
And then I filled the tortillas with meats and with vegetables and stuff and a little bit of salsa or something, and then made a burrito out of it, put it on the grill and made and heated it up, and it flattened it out a little bit, and that made a great sandwich that is not very expensive to make,
Yeah.
and people loved it.
Yeah, they do. So, yeah, yesterday was like our first tasting. We were just tasting a bunch of different ideas and concepts of where we want to go with it. So, I'm in Texas right now and Austin, and there's a lot of great farms around here and fresh produce and all of that. So, I was developing the seasonal menu and all that great stuff. So, it's been so much fun. I did that with my last job. I was with them for like 10 years. I was director of operations there and of culinary operations, and I was with them from the ground up, from when they were building it all the way to 9 years later. So it is my joy. I love culinary. Love it.
And you work a lot in doing that, don't you?
Well, yeah, that, and also I'm a chef instructor as well. So I teach culinary as well, and I have the privilege right now of working with a nonprofit organization where I teach the underserved community a new life skill, which is culinary, and then we help them get jobs in the culinary field. So that's been so rewarding. I can't even tell you.
So with doing that, I have to ask you, have you ever been training somebody on something culinary and they figured out or found a new or different way of doing things that you actually interpreted into your own life?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't know if I have. I know that for example, when I do culinary with these amazing humans,
Mhm.
I myself have been homeless in my life, and I have gone through a lot of struggle and trauma and things like that. And I know that
Right.
that's the position that they're in right now. So
Yeah.
I've helped them to understand that it's more than just culinary, right? It's one thing to give somebody a fish; it's another thing to teach people how to fish. And so, teaching them how to fish has given them different perspectives. Like, they don't have to just go to a kitchen. They can go to barista work. They can do catering. They can do,
Yeah.
like, there's so many ways to take this in life. So
Mhm.
one thing I've gotten as feedback is, chef, you're more than a chef. You make us feel safe here. And I feel like I can actually do anything. And I'm like, because you can, right?
Yeah.
A lot of us struggle in life, but that doesn't mean we can't do the things we want to do.
You
Very well
know,
said.
and one of the things that I'm real excited about for you is you've got a new podcast. You've been a podcaster for a number of years, but you've got a new culinary podcast coming up and I think it's kind of important because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of men were not raised and taught how to cook. They were taught how to
Mhm.
mow the lawn and maybe do that kind of thing and clean the garage, but to learn how to cook, and then they get married and their wife is working full time and she's taking care of the kids, and he has no idea how to help cook a meal, let alone load the dishwasher, which, by the way, I've learned is a thing in married couples. Is that true?
It actually is true. I'm so glad you learned that, Kevin. How long have you been married?
Well, I was married for 24 years. It was the best 6 months of my life. But
Oh my goodness.
Yes, men actually, what's very interesting about that, right, is the fact that it was men who started the cooking. Like, women cooked at home, but men started the career in culinary, right? So Escoffier and all that, building, the kitchen out and the brigades and all the great things. But it's true. I think it depends on the culture and where you're from. But I'm I'm Puerto Rican, right? So in Latino culture, it was always the woman cooking and not the man. So you are right in that. And yeah, the new project is called the Purpose Filled Kitchen, and it's because I wanted to do something more than just cooking, and I wanted to do something more than just coaching. I've been coaching for about 10 years now. Love what I do. Love the women. Have seen them be very successful. Been super fun at doing that. But it's time to incorporate the two, and that's what I'm doing with the Purpose Filled Kitchen. So I have great recipes and stuff on there, but we're also just discussing life, because let's be real. All of us around the table eating good food, that's where life comes out, right? That's where we can connect with one another. So I'm excited for it.
It seems to me that in our world, everything revolves around food. When
Mhm.
families get together, they all talk about what we're going to have for dinner, and then and I always found it really humorous. The women would all be in the kitchen putting
Mhm.
stuff together, and the men would be watching the ball game and
Mhm.
drinking beer in the living room and stuff. But that's changing now. It because it has to,
Mm.
because men need to take a more active role in what's going on in the house. Now, okay, guys, I know you're going to say, yeah, but I barbecue. I barbecue all the time. And it's like, well, barbecuing is the easy part.
Yeah, well, I think it depends too on the dynamics, right? Because I'd rather be in my kitchen by myself. Like, don't come in here messing up my stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right? Thank you. It's like sometimes I'm cooking and I'm like, I have
Go
an
away.
idea and a concept, right? And here he comes from behind to grab that piece of steak or grab a piece of chicken. I'm like, get out. Get out of the kitchen. So I guess it depends on the dynamics.
For sure.
that is, I'm just, honey, I'm just testing it for you.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Exactly. I'm just
Yep.
testing it. Really? You'll test it in about 30
Yeah.
minutes. Get out. You know?
It's kind of like when my dad retired, and my mom said, because he worked for Nordstrom and he worked like 60 hours a week for his whole career, and so suddenly he was underfoot, and she said, don't you have some place to go?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That happens a lot in marriages, actually, right? Because they're so used to being, siloed or separate for a while, and then now he's there like every day, all the time. I can understand, Mom. I get it.
Yeah. And I was talking to a lady just the other day, and she said, did your dad start redoing the spice rack alphabetically? And I said, people do that?
Yes.
No, it's what
Sorry.
you use most in the front and closest, and then everything else kind of, scattered in the back to where you can find it until you
Yeah.
may freak out because you
Yeah. That
can't.
that marjoram that's been back there for about 22 years.
Exactly. But I know where it is.
Right. Has no flavor, but we're gonna use it.
Yep.
Oh,
I
it's
have
so
no
funny.
idea what you're talking about, because I did marjoram.
Oh my. Oh yeah, it's like an oregano.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
oregano's like a marjoram. I get it now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, and I
So,
have to say too, I think it's kind of cool though, because in today's world, I've kind of noticed how I do see in so many different ways different people who teach their kids to cook because
Yeah.
they want them to be able to take care of themselves, and they tell them, hey, if you don't have me here someday, or there's not somebody to do this for you, I want you to be able to do it for yourself. And I think that's a really good approach in
Mhm.
ways to teach anything,
Mhm.
because you're coming from a place of help and love rather than you need to do this and you should do that. It's this might help you someday, and it's just good for you to know whether you have a lot of interest in that thing or not. But it also teaches discipline. There's things that you're going to have to be able to do for yourself you may not want to do, but having that skill will get you through life just a little easier. Do you happen to agree with that, Nina?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have a business called the Kitty Kitchen, so it's about cooking with kids, culinary classes for kids. So
Right.
absolutely, I agree with that. And my kids, learned how to cook, wash clothes, clean their room, all that, like around 10 years old. So because I wanted to make them as independent as possible, and they are. I
Right.
mean, they both are phenomenal cooks. So yeah, it definitely is something I believe in and agree with. And I've had, students of mine, because I've been teaching kids how to cook since like 2006 or whatever, and so students of mine who were little guys then are now like sometimes I run into their parents, and their parents are like, oh my gosh, you should see he has a whole food blog, or, she's doing this now. And, it's amazing, because if you could teach them that, they can survive anywhere, as
Yep.
long as they know how to put things together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your coaching, and you coach predominantly with women, and you help them, you tell us, rather than me tell you what you do, why don't you tell us what you do with women? But you know what? Before we go there, I need to take our first break. It's just 45 seconds. So, Brachelle, be quiet. I'm going to do this, and then we're going to be right back. Is that okay, Brachelle?
Yes, go ahead. Let's do it.
Okay, be right back.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum, and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Brachelle, the silent one, who is...
I'm here. Not so silent when I'm talking, though.
Exactly. And your microphone sounds really good, by the way.
Very good. I love to hear that.
And we're talking with Neena Perez, who not only, because we played that last commercial, not only can she feed your white wolf, she can teach you how you can feed your white wolf all by yourself. Isn't that right?
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. So, I mean, I love doing what I do, right? So what I really do is just help women who are just transitioning, or just like tired of the grind and the corporate, and they want to leave all of that, and they want to turn their wisdom and their, God-given talents into a business that is more aligned with who they are. So I blend a lot of like faith and strategy and healing, all of that incorporated into this. And then I have a whole team that does all of their automation, marketing automation, their all the back of house stuff that nobody tells you need until you're like hitting a wall.
And hitting that wall is no fun at all.
That's correct. It's turning that pain into purpose. I think a lot of us have been through some things, and that's where you learn your lessons, right? So, I always feel like, sometimes when they come to me, they're like, oh, I feel like I'm so behind and I don't know what I'm doing. And, and they feel like they get that, phrase that everybody uses, which is that imposter syndrome. And I just, they're not behind. They're just being prepared, right? So I always feel like that, if you blend what you believe, so your faith system and what you believe and what you are aligned with strategy, that's when you're going to start getting that transformation that you're looking for.
Because when you hit that wall and you don't know where to go, which is why, by the way, I think everybody needs a coach, and I'm pretty sure you agree with that.
100%. I think every coach needs a coach. Every therapist needs a therapist. Every doctor needs a doctor. Most of us think we could just come at this alone. And then we quickly realize that, yeah, you're stuck, right? You really are feeling stuck and you don't know where to go. So you need somebody. Absolutely. I agree with you.
Well, we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's really important. Brachelle's had a coach. I've had a coach. Mm-hmm. And it's really important for them, somebody on the outside that's not a family member, that is liable to sugarcoat things and to not tell you exactly the truth. Mm-hmm. You need somebody that's going to tell you exactly what they're thinking about what you're saying, how you're presenting yourself and stuff, so that you can get an outside perspective, to get a different perspective of who you really are. Is that fair?
Yeah, because I think that we are harder on ourselves than we should be. And so we don't see all of the skill sets that we've been through, all the grit that we've developed, right? And all the lessons of all the things that we've gone through in life. And I think that we can learn from all of those things. So it takes an outside perspective to come in and say to you, wait, you've been through all of that? you are actually stronger than you think you are. You have these skill sets that you are overlooking. And so we really need to step back for a second and stop worrying so much about being judged or about being like the best person on the planet. And we have to show up already prepared. None of that is true. And a coach can help you see on the side, on the peripherals that you can't.
Rochelle, she said my favorite word. You know what that is?
Yes, she did.
Go ahead.
I think you're talking about being kind to yourself and understanding. We've been focused on that a lot, Neena, because when you look inward and you're kind,
Mhm.
it kind of doesn't make sense if you can explain this, but why is it easier for people who have been through all of the toughest things that some people may not experience, that they tend to be more kind to others than themselves because it's a little bit harder?
Well, I think we get stuck in our own loop, right? So, for most of us, we have had some sort of like negativity or trauma has happened to us, especially in our development years, right? So from 0 to 7, maybe someone told you to be quiet, and all of a sudden you said your voice is not important, right? Because we're trying to understand and filter things in our life, and so it's easier, I think, to look out and to see others and what they're doing in their greatness than it is for us to see it in ourselves. I think that's just natural. That's a natural reaction, I feel, unless you're a complete narcissist. But other than that, I think that that's one of the things. It's like, being kind to others makes you feel good too, right?
Yeah.
And when you're kind to yourself, what are you told? Oh, that's selfish. You shouldn't just think about yourself, those kind of things, especially when you're young. It's about sharing, right? Sharing is caring, and it's all about all those things. And those things are true. But I think that we mix up the message and we think it's just about others, and therefore we're
Mhm.
not kind to ourselves. We're probably our worst critic and the most mean to ourselves than we are to anyone else.
Yeah.
Well, and Neena, I got to tell you, there was another word that you used in the last little bit that I want to touch on, because are you familiar with NFL football? Being a chef, you must be. 'Cause they must have been talking about that in the kitchen.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me explain. Let me explain. One of the things that they do in the NFL is they have a draft.
Mhm.
Well, my team is the Seattle Seahawks, and what they not only measure a player for how fast they are, or how high they can jump, or how good they can catch, or how far they can throw the ball. They also look at one of the aspects that some don't look at, and that is grit. They look
Mm.
at
Mm.
authentic grit as a way, because everybody's been through it. Everybody's
Yeah.
been through the wars. It's a matter of how you respond to it once you're gotten through it, or you might still be in the middle of it, but it's how you respond to it on a daily basis that separates somebody from somebody that is just interested in being a victim, and somebody
Mhm,
that wants to
mhm,
rise
mhm.
above it. And that is and because you use the term grit, I'm sure that you use that in your coaching, which is, mine is gratitude, resilience,
Integrity.
toughness, integrity. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
thank you, Rochelle.
I
I,
got
I
you. You taught me that.
and I thought I'm getting a little older now. I have trouble remembering stuff like that. But
I'll remember
um,
for you.
thank you very. That's why she's here, actually. Uh,
That's funny.
but so authentic grit is an important piece for everybody trying to make a transition, don't you think?
Mhm. Yeah, and you said the right word, right? It's authentic. It's not something that you're trying to fake for someone to see or trying to do to try to make yourself feel good, but actually something that comes from within. And grit isn't sustainable without any deeply rooted reason, right? So, why would you make this worth continuing if it's
Yeah.
hard, right? Like why is this worth continuing? And it's about that within piece, right? And you'll know when you're misaligned. But you know what, it's interesting is that others will too, right? So if you're trying to fake it till you make it type thing, which I don't agree with, because I think that don't fake it, just be authentic, be real, have integrity, show up like you're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And that grit is a natural thing because you've been through some stuff. Right. And so I think if we could just stop trying to speak or fake it to the world, and let's just be who we are and actually show up every day, that's when you'll see that you have more grit than you thought you did. Right.
Yeah.
So it's, stop expecting instant results. My behind has been going to the gym and trying to walk, and I've been like, why didn't I lose 50 pounds already? Like, what is this? Right. So stop expecting instant results. Embrace the process, right? It's really about having consistent processing over the quick wins, right? That's what grit is committing to the long game.
Well, and one thing that Kevin always says is, what you think of me is none of my business. And when he first told me that, I
Love
didn't
that.
really know how to understand it, because it
Mhm.
can be interpreted in so many ways. But I realized that it all came down to, if I'm spending more time worried about what other people think of me, I am not spending that time focused on who I am.
Mhm.
And I can't complain about questioning it because I'm not taking the time to dedicate using that grit into finding who out that is, because I'm trying to listen to everything around me rather than looking within.
Yeah, I mean, because we think we're failures, right? So, oh, I
Right.
didn't do that right. I can't let everybody see that.
Yeah.
But the truth is that if you are authentic and you show up like you're supposed to, like, we're on screen all the time, we're talking all the time, so we're in people's ears and eyes all the time. And if
Mhm.
you start to come up as inauthentic, people are not going to jive with that,
Yep.
especially today, because I'm sure you guys have seen the shift of people with all of the guru stuff and all that. Nobody even follows that crap anymore. They want to follow real authentic conversations about
Yep.
real authentic transformation in people's lives for real. Like, people are more into now longer content. At least that's what I'm getting in my research. Longer content that's real authentic conversations than these quick wins where people are faking it. Grit is going to come, and it's not failure, it's feedback. So just practice that, right? Strengthen your mindset, start really looking into what it is that you've overcome in life. And you're going to see that you have way more to offer the world than the BS that everybody else is trying to offer.
Well, Kevin, please, I just have to say this to you, Nina, because your research is so right. Because we had a guest yesterday that told us the statistics of the number one thing searched on Google right now in the last 30 days or something like that was the word authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
Mm-hmm.
else, just
Mm-hmm.
that word.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because it's what we want, right? I mean, after the pandemic happened, people got disconnected, right? And so it
Yep.
started to be all about all the hype online. People are tired now. They're just like mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted. We have too many things coming at us all the time, every moment of the day. It's like, I'm Gen X, right? So I came to this world before we had all of this stuff, and we had to go outside to play. We had to go outside and scrape our
Yep.
knees and have a fun time and all of that. And we couldn't come in the house anyway until the lights came on, right? So it's like that kind of thing, right? But we learned resilience, we learned grit, we learned, to survive out there, because your parents didn't want you in the house, right? So grit is going to be forged for everyone in small, repeated actions, right? And I think that everybody just needs to stop, just take off the veil, take off the crap, and just show up as you, and you'll see how much more people like you for you and not for who you're pretending to be.
Kevin, that
I
reminds
wanted
me of how you say "let it be."
that's right. Dang it. The gospel according to Paul McCartney. Let it be.
I love that.
But I wanted to ask you this, because when you begin to go through this process, and by gum, it is a process, you cannot snap your fingers and suddenly you're a different person.
Yep.
There are people that are currently in your life, and tell me if this is true with your clients. There are people that are currently in your life that are really happy with the way that you've been and the way that you are, but you're not happy. And so you begin to make these changes, and then suddenly they turn around and go, "You're changing. I'm not exactly as happy as I was. I liked you when you were in your little box." Is that a thing?
Yeah, come on now. It's a big thing, right, Kevin? So like when I have somebody say to me, "Oh, you're changing," I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much for noticing. I said, because if I'm the same person I was yesterday or the day before, I'm not improving. And so I really am grateful for change. And, it's some of it's hard though, Kevin. I'll be honest. Like, my growth and change has also eliminated a lot of really good friendships I thought I had. You know what I'm saying? Really good
Yep.
relationships I thought I had. I outgrew them. We grew separately. And it was hard at first. And then I realized if I start to cut my own corners, I am not going to be pleased with me at the end of the day. And I cannot do that. I can't do it. So, true grit and authenticity doesn't cut any quarters, right? I mean, it's perseverance, it's moving forward, it's changing 1% a day. It's that type of thing. And that's who I want to be. And so the right people will be there at the right time.
Exactly.
So
And one of
yes.
the things that we've learned is that we are energetic beings in a physical body, and we have vibrational levels. And the higher your vibrational level, it attracts higher vibrational levels and higher energy people. And unfortunately, the people that have chosen, and it's a choice, not to work on themselves,
Yep.
they no longer resonate with us because we're looking back. And when we used to, we need to take a break, but when we come back, I want to ask about that, because there are some people that just refuse to change and to think about what they can do better and to work at it every day because they're very happy just being who they are and stuff. So we're talking with Neena Perez. Rochelle, she's awesome, isn't she?
Yes, I could talk to you probably way longer than you'd like.
Oh, I love that.
So we will be right back right after this. It's only a minute and 10, so stay with us, everybody.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome everybody to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle. She's right over there. She's incognito at the moment, and I can't figure out how to get her picture up there, but that's all right.
I'm here.
And Neena Perez is our guest. And by the way, go to her website, which oddly enough is NeenaPerez.com. And you can, I'm surprised that was available because that's such an important name, Neena Perez. And, so we'll keep mentioning that. She is a chef. She's a podcaster. She is a coach for women who have decided, and, during the opening, I say, why am I here and what is my purpose? I'm firmly committed to the fact that everybody at one point in time says that. Whether they act on it or not is a wholly different question. But at one point in time, they always act on, why am I really here? And what am I really here to do? Is this it? This ain't enough. It heads up in your experience, Neena. Have you had people that feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that way, right? Because we always have this illusion of arriving, whatever arriving means, right? So, I mean, to me, it's like, oh, my purpose is this, my purpose is that. And then you get there and you're like, oh. Next, next thing, but all my life, oddly enough, since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be a chef. And I used to put all my like dolls and stuff in front of me. And I thought I was Julia Childs and the whole thing. And for those of you who are young, Julia Childs was a great chef and she was on TV, blah, blah, blah.
Julia Childs, that's
Yes.
me.
Oh, I loved her. And I was a little girl and I remember always thinking that that's what I wanted to do. And, it's so fun that now, with technology and things like YouTube, I get to do that. I get to be on screen and cook with others and all of the great things. So that's super fun. So.
Well, congratulations on all you're doing, Brichelle.
Yeah, I'm really just curious on when you work with these women and get to see them start to enjoy the process of the journey. I heard recently that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And you mentioned that previously about enjoying what you're going through. And what is the biggest thing that you see that is hardest for women to overcome to get to that point?
Oh, I think one of the biggest things that I've really had to help them with is to understand that there is rhythms. And I really believe this, there is rhythms in life. And, these women have a lot of things going on. So a lot of women that come to me, they have families, they have kids in college, like all the things are happening. And then they go through this stage where they're exhausted, they're tired, they're burnt out, they don't know. And I'm like, okay, can we pause for a moment? Like, are you going to give yourself permission to pause? They're like, I can do that. I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And so some of them, take a pause for like if it's a week, if it's a month, it doesn't matter. What matters is that they care for themselves enough to take that pause for a moment. And then when they come back, they're like, this was the best thing I had ever had anyone tell me to do, was to take a pause. I didn't even know I needed it. Right. So one of the things I've really seen a lot of women, especially purpose-driven women, is that they are constantly on the go until they burn out. And then when they burn out, they're no good to themselves and they're no good to others. Right. And so I think we need to give ourselves permission to take a breath. Right. We cannot be on all the time. That's difficult.
Yeah.
We're not all Kevin. We can't be on here 24 hours. 27
Gosh, I
Well,
don't.
what's crazy about you bringing this up is this has kind of been a pattern of the week, and it's crazy that it's been a flow of somebody the last 3 days that we've had on a show has mentioned that pause, and how you just brought it into perspective of not only can I do this for myself, but also that you don't have to set a time frame for it.
Right.
And I think as individuals of human beings, we do that a lot with giving ourselves restrictions and putting deadlines and guidelines and time frames on all of these things, when really we can't control any of that. We just get to use that grit to work through enjoying the process to get there, right?
You also have to make sure you're working with the right people, because
Yes.
you have to really guard your energy. And that comes up because I remember having conversations a couple months ago with these different women, 3 different women, but they were, they were like, oh, I did coaching already, but I really like your style. And I'm like, wait a minute, let's talk about who you coached with, what you did, what was going on there. Why didn't you finish that program, or did you finish? And one of the things was, well, one of the women I distinctly remember, because she told me that she finished the program, but every time she asked them for help because she was really exhausted and burnt out and tired, they said, well, you're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to push forward. And the thing is when she came to me, I said, well, how are you feeling? She said, well, I'm burnt out and broke, because she spent I think it was like $40,000 for this program. Right. So I really realized that it's important that you start to guard your atmosphere, guard your energy. Right. I was talking to someone today about, I love gardening. I love, just doing all the weeding and all that stuff, but you got to protect your garden from all the weeds. Right. And you got to limit the emotional access that you give people in your life. This is constantly going to drain you. So create space, physically, digital, just create that space that you need that fuels you. So I do that through prayer, journaling, just taking a moment, turning off the computer, like those kind of things. And I think, Kevin, you mentioned it earlier about, energy and vibration and all of that kind of stuff. And I believe that too. I think that's really important.
Why is it Well, and I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway, because somebody in our audience doesn't. Why, as a culture, do we expect women from a very early age to look great, to act great, to keep their mouths shut, to do what they're told, and to work very hard, and to do everything and to take care of everybody else and nobody talks about, and take a pause to take care of yourself? And that's why so many women get burned out, because you cannot do 10 candles at both ends your entire life, and it's not good for you. And is that kind of still a thing, or are younger women like Brachelle's age, she's 26, are they getting it that that's not necessary anymore?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you from my point of view as a young Latina girl, right? Because in our culture and in our household, it was always like raise the daughters but love the sons, right?
Mm.
And so the sons were always, loved and coddled, and they could do no wrong, and the girls were always taught to clean, cook, and all that stuff, or you got punished or whatever have you. And so I can speak from that perspective. I am American. Been living here all my life, but I still grew up in a very Latino focused household, and that's one of the things I did see. Now, I will tell you though, I didn't shut up much. I didn't take too much of that crap from anybody, but if funny enough, me and my husband now have kind of fallen into the roles naturally, but not because he tells me I gotta cook or anything like that. Actually, he's a big supporter of mine, so he supports all my goals and dreams and everything I want to do. But I naturally tend to want to cook. I tend to want to do, the what they would put as women roles. I think that we need to stop putting people in the roles and just let people naturally fall where they are in those relationships. And I think the younger generation gets that way better than us older generation, for sure.
I have to agree.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, and I wanted to mention, because you said this, and this is for all the men out there. If you want to have a good functional relationship, be supportive of the goals and the desires of your mate.
Mhm.
Don't be dismissive and say, "Oh, no, you can't do that."
Mhm.
Isn't that part of the marriage and part of the process
Mhm.
of us working together as human beings? Because
Mhm.
we're not all the same, and we all have different goals and different thoughts and different things. If you can be supportive of the one you love, which I have never understood why people are not supportive of the one they love. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I know, but they'll support their friends. They'll
Yep.
support their neighbors.
Yep.
I think it's just because that person, loves you, and you naturally use them as a punching bag, or, your frustration or whatever. But yeah. And, women too, women got to step up too. Like, you support your man too, or your woman or whatever your partner is.
Exactly.
But I, for my husband, I support him 100%, whatever he wants to do. In fact, I probably try to make him do a little bit more than he wants to do, but that's just me, I'm just like, go ahead, start that second business and do this and do that. He's like, I don't want to. I'm like, why? So. But yeah, I think it's super important to listen as well. I was always strong-headed when I was younger, so it was my way or the highway, and I was, I had a very masculine energy. I was very, very forward, very strong, and I had to learn too that so is he. He's a man too, and so he wanted to have that energy as well, and I had to pull back, because in a relationship, that's what you do. You try to match each other's energy, you support each other, and you try to be the best cheerleader for that person you can be, because that person will bat for you no matter what, if you do that for them.
Preacher for the people in the back.
As we were sitting here talking, because Neena is a chef, she's a podcaster, she's a coach, she does all these things. And I was just thinking to myself, you're either, when you're in the restaurant and you're in the kitchen, you're either their best friend and ardent supporter, or they're not doing well and they want to get out. Is there a middle ground there, or do you? Because I know you being a quality chef, you expect them to do what they need to do it and do it well. So is that kind of, have you experienced that where somebody says, I don't think I can work for you because you're too tough?
No, I haven't had anybody do that because I'm very forward and honest about how I work, right? So I will respect you, and I also give you creative creative outlet too. So when I was running the restaurants, it's not about just doing the menu. I also want you to be creative and use your brain, but I won't be disrespected either. And I think I managed to learn to lead in that balance. And I've worked with chefs who were horrible, and I was like, wow, I do not want to work with you ever. Like, you are a jerk. Right. And then there are people that I've worked with that I'm like, can we have a leader in the house, please? Like, so I've had both. Right. And so I didn't want to be that. So I did a lot of things with my team where I would do a 360 and I would have them talk about me. How do I lead? How can I help you? How can I improve? Where can I do better? As a leader, what can I do to serve your needs better? And I think that helps when you can take your ego out of it and you can realize that you're a human being too, and they need that, they need to know that, yes, they have to respect you, but they can also see you as a person and not as a dictator. So it's very important to have a
Be
balance.
the example.
Exactly.
And I just did at 3:00 in the morning because I had to get up and do it. A thing about leadership. And the premise of it is purposeful leadership leads and doesn't tell. And it's an important aspect of what a good leader does is he creates other good leaders by modeling how to be a great leader. And so that's going to be coming out here in the next week or so, and be looking for that. By the way, we're talking with Neena Perez. I love you. You can stay anytime you want to. What do you think, Michelle?
I agree. You have to come back.
Oh, 100%. I love this. This is so much energy. I love it.
So we need to take a break, and this is another thing that I've done, and please listen to it and tell me what you think. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Rochelle, and my name is Kevin, and Neena is here. And Neena, what'd you think?
I actually love that. I really love that. And I think kindness is exactly that, right? Just being somebody who thinks about their people and their surroundings and stuff like that, but isn't a pushover, right? That's being nice. So I think there's a difference between being nice and being kind, right? And so being nice is, your hair looks good, but it's very surface, very, very inauthentic sometimes. It's just being nice. And I think being kind comes from a deeper place. So I really like that.
Well, thank you. Rochelle, what'd you think?
I love it, Kevin. And I love what Neena said about doing it out of authenticity, like we've been talking about, rather than just doing it because, you should. Or sometimes I realize that people will compliment other people to make themselves feel better, which also isn't necessarily a direct place of authenticity. I would say it comes more of like You know, you see somebody drop something and you help them, or they're struggling, or you hold the
Mhm.
door not just for one person, but for the next 10 people, rather than, oh my gosh, I held the door, now somebody else should. And living in that purpose within yourself. And it kind of goes back to not surrounding all of your outside necessities. And I think everybody does that. It's kind of just a natural thing, but you're really just working a new muscle, and it can be a little challenging. But Neena, I have to ask you too, that in getting into the work that you did, is there something else that you always thought that you wanted to do and it actually guided you to what you're doing now?
Hmm. There's something else that I wanted to do, and it guided me into what I'm doing now. I know that I've always been kind to people. So going
Right.
with this for a second, being kind to me was always being truthful, was
Hmm.
always being honest, and always being forthcoming. And I think, when I saw that being truthful when I was younger, I was a little rough around the edges. So I was truthful when I was not
Me
nice.
too.
But as I grew as a person, I'm still very much a straight talker, but I
Yeah.
do it now with kindness, meaning I think you're going to fall off the ledge. Let me veer you off this way, even though you may not like what I have to say.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've always liked encouraging people. I've been doing this naturally since I was young. I'll never forget. This is what I think kind of set me off with the importance of people. Is when I was in high school, I had this young girl who I didn't know her, but everybody was very cruel to her.
Mm.
And there was one day I saw her sitting by herself, and I decided I don't know her, but I'm going to go and meet her. So I
Yeah.
sat with her. We sat and talked for a long time. I thought nothing of it. She was very kind, and we never really spoke again, but we would wave at each other or whatever. At the end of the school year, she came to me. She said, I have to tell you something. I said, sure. She goes, that day that you came to talk to me, I was going to commit suicide. But because you sat and talked to me, I changed my mind. Right.
Mm.
And that transformed my whole thinking, because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, don't ignore anyone. Be kind. Stop for a moment. Pause. And somebody could be going through something you have no idea. I had no idea that I
Yep.
saved that girl's life at that time just by talking to her like a human being. Right. And I think that we can all lead by example. Right. We can all lead by example and grow out loud.
Exactly.
It's vital. It's important. That's why, in my humble opinion, that's why we're here, to be of service to others.
I agree.
And
I say that all
and
the time. All the time, Kevin.
I'm doing it.
I
Yeah.
love that you're saying that, because I say it all the time. I really don't believe that we're supposed to live here, work, 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 die. I think we're
Yep.
supposed to live here, go through experiences, help our fellow man, and then move on. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel too, Kevin. I don't think we're supposed to just, yeah,
It doesn't just
I
stop.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
you know,
Sorry.
and no, I love that. One of the biggest things for me also as well is in thinking about the way you are is you're kind, but people can count on what you say as being the truth because you're not sugarcoating it to be nice. You're saying what needs to be said so that they can feel and improve upon how they're presenting themselves to the world. That is a big deal if you can do it authentically with purpose and kindness, don't you think?
I do. I've actually had friends of mine call me and say, I'm calling you because I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, okay. And they're like, because I can call anybody, but I know you'll tell me the truth,
Mm.
and I'm like,
Mhm.
is that a good thing? Like, did you want to hear the truth? And they're like, I don't want to hear the truth, but I know you're going to give me the truth. So that's why I'm
Yep.
calling you. And that I found to be an honor. It's
Yeah.
an honor for me, because I'm like, wow, okay. So then they do see me as a person of integrity and of truth, and somebody who's going to be kind and tell them the truth, as opposed to BS them and be nice. And that's just the way I live my life, Kevin. Like, honestly, even my husband's like, hey, can you warm that up a little bit? It's too cold for me, that type of thing. I'm like, sorry, sorry. It's not to be cruel or mean, but I really believe that we should hold ourselves to a higher standard, especially if we want to have people around us that hold themselves to a higher standard. So,
Well, I'm glad that you're teaching people to also uphold that within themselves,
mhm,
because it goes back into being able to, like, people are literally coming to you asking for constructive criticism.
mhm,
And that it gives them courage to know they have someone to lean in on without judgment and with also respect and an open mind,
mhm,
but also to give that back to themselves and take it in and interpret it from a place of love rather than them hearing it from someone outward and it being in a negative effect.
mhm.
So not only just you being that person, but teaching that goes a really, really long way, because like you said, when you are that, people see that. Lately in my life, I'm done saying so much. I'm just going to do and I'm going to show, because
Yeah.
it tends to kind of go a lot further. So I can't even express to you how thankful I am that there's somebody on this earth that is there for people in that way, because it's very, very much needed.
Yeah, I mean, trust yourself and trust your light, because it's going to outgrow people now, but it could be their lighthouse later, right? And
Yeah.
so, trust where you're growing and going, and trust that you have something to show and a light to beam, and people will follow later on, because growth can be very threatening to people who are comfortable where they are, right?
It's
So,
very threatening.
yeah, it's very threatening. It was to me, right? When people outgrow me, it could be very threatening to me too. Like, whoa, who do you think you are? And they're like, I'm growing, So, like, you can love them and still outgrow certain dynamics, right? So just trust yourself, and trust your light now, because I promise you, it will be their lighthouse later for sure.
Amen.
Nina, and I can tell you this, because of the way you are and the truthful nature that you have, and you tell it like it is, you make a hell of a coach.
Thank you.
A coach can't be a great coach if they are worried about the feelings of somebody that needs to be told the truth, and then you beat around the bush and don't tell them the truth and try and hint around at it, and then they don't get it, and then you wonder why they didn't get it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That makes you a hell of a coach. So tell everybody,
Thank
if they
you.
want to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can go on my website, which is neenaperez.com, and you can literally find me on any platform under Neena Perez or Straight Talk, no sugar added.
Yes, and
I
that is
love that.
Nina with two E's,
With two E's. Thank you.
Neena Perez, and you can find her, like she said.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This was fun. So
Of
much
course, thank
fun.
you. You have so many good quotes. I have to tell you, I've pulled so many quotes that I want to put on merch. Me and Kevin do that a lot with guests. But the
Yay.
last thing you said really, really hit home for me, and I hope it does for someone else. I just want to repeat it. You said it could be overseen now, but could become your lighthouse later.
Mhm.
And that's enjoying the journey and then getting to enjoy the lighthouse you've built at the end of it.
That's right.
It's not just getting through that grit and then stopping or becoming stagnant. It's developing, what did we say the other day, Kevin? You develop a, not a flow, but it's like a frequency that is, it's momentum, and when that
Yeah.
is built on, then it doesn't stop. And I think the world, I'd like to say, is pretty good at building this momentum. We just need help and from people like you to kind of guide us. So I'd like to take this last few minutes to just allow you to share anything with our audience that you'd like them to know before we go.
Oh man, sometimes for those of you who are out here maybe struggling or don't know, you don't want to end friendships, or you don't, you might be outgrowing people, but I want you to remember that sometimes your growth is the permission that they need, right? They won't ask you until they see you standing up for it. So stand up for yourself, be authentic, be real, be true, because as you start to grow and expand and become the person you're supposed to be, other people will feel the permission to stand up and be the person that they're supposed to be. So just be the light.
Amen.
Do you remember the movie When Harry Met Sally?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but yes,
Do you remember the cafeteria scene?
I think so.
They were talking about sex, and she was
Oh, yes,
saying
yes, yes, yes.
that we fake it a lot, and he said, "No,
Yeah.
you don't." And
Yeah.
so she goes through what she did, and the lady
Yeah.
down the row, when they were taking the order, the lady said, "And what will you have?" And she said, "I'll have what she's having."
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to take away from this.
I love it.
They want to talk to you because they love what you have and the energy that you bring to everything that you do. And bless your heart. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
thank you.
So much fun. I got to come back, Kevin. This was so much fun.
You have no choice.
I have no show. Thank you, Rochelle. You were awesome.
Of course, thank you, Neena.
And I hope everybody has a great day. We'll be back in an hour or so, or a half hour or so, or something like that. But Neena, thank you so much. Go to NeenaPerez.com, find out all about her. She is friggin' incredible.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.